This is CBC Nova Scotia News.
More measles. Public health confirms 30 cases in the northern zone, with additional cases expected in the coming weeks. Africville reunion. New security measures are in place a year after the annual gathering turned violent. And soccer with a twist. Kids in Cape Breton play the sport in Gaelic.
Well, the rain stayed well to the north for most areas today. Lots of sunshine, although a little on the windy side. We're getting close to Friday. Your weekend forecast, I'll have the full details on that just ahead.
Good evening. There is a big jump in the number of confirmed measles cases in Nova Scotia. There are now 30 cases in the province. All of them are in the northern zone and connected to the same outbreak. Despite that, Public Health says the risk to the public is low. Carolyn Ray has the details.
With 30 cases of measles in Nova Scotia's northern zone, it might sound alarming to some, but Public Health says the situation is well in hand. The patients are people living in homes with large families. It's mostly young people, ranging from little children to those in their 30s, and most of them are unvaccinated. They're heeding advice from Public Health to stay home while they recover, which makes the risk low for any large-scale spread. Health Minister Michelle Thompson won't give any more specifics about where the people live.
We need to be very careful. We don't want to cause any harm to community as a result of, a very stressful situation that they may be experiencing. So what's important is the surveillance system. The early detection worked well. There's lots of relationships working with people who are in under-immunized in clusters.
No one has been hospitalized, and we know that most of the people are well on their way to recovery. But this cluster has Public Health once again pushing for people to get their measles vaccines. A reminder that it can be given to people 12 months old and up, and you need 2 doses for full immunity. People born between 1970 and 1996 were likely only given 1 shot and need a booster. Public Health says it has given out nearly 6 times as many shots this year compared to last year, and it's important to keep the momentum going. Carolyn Ray, CBC News, Halifax.
A man has pleaded guilty to 3 charges in relation to a collision in January that claimed the life of a 21-year-old Halifax woman. 31-year-old Deepak Sharma entered the guilty pleas during an appearance in Nova Scotia Provincial Court this afternoon. Among the charges he admitted to was criminal negligence causing death because he struck and killed 21-year-old Alexandria Wortman, who was walking in a marked crosswalk. The Crown says the guilty pleas came because they had a strong case.
Many people from within that neighborhood came forward, provided statements, provided videos from their doorbell cameras, their security systems, etc. And this really was a case where the community came forward, and ultimately that's how crimes are solved, and that's why we had a strong case here.
Alexandria Wortman was struck in a marked crosswalk at the corner of Vernon Street and Jubilee Road. She was then carried for about 2 blocks on the hood of Sharma's car down Jubilee. He'll be sentenced in September. A fire on a busy street in Windsor today left a house completely destroyed on the inside. The CBC's Juliana Griot went to the scene and has this report.
There was nothing left inside this house on Garish Street in downtown Windsor after a fire gutted it Thursday morning. Deepak Sedawat lives across the street. He witnessed the house go up in flames.
When I wake up at 9:30 with the screaming and people they are crying and screaming in the street, and we just heard that and we just came outside. We see lots of fire and smoke, and haze of smoke is coming out from the house right in front of me.
The deputy fire chief says the blaze started at the back of the house and engulfed the inside and part of the backyard fence. He says crews were able to block the fire from spreading to other properties. 4 people live in the house, but he says there was only 1 person inside when the fire broke out. The man was able to flee and did not need to be taken to the hospital.
Just assessed by some of our members on scene. He's perfectly fine, and I was just speaking with him. He's fine, no issues.
There were also 3 cats in the house that escaped the flames. The house still stands, but is severely damaged.
water and smoke damage. Being an older home, the fire that was there traveled up through the structure. So there's a lot of water and smoke and fire damage in various areas where it come through.
After the firefighters put out the blaze, they had to use a vacuum truck to pump out the water from the basement. They cordoned off the house with yellow tape before they left.
The chiefs did not say how many firefighters were at the scene, but he did say that departments from around the area came to help. The investigation on what caused the fire is ongoing. Juliana Grillo, CBC News, Windsor.
The Africville family reunion returns this weekend, a year after a shooting at the festival canceled events. Former residents, descendants, and organizers are determined it will return to the kind of celebration that honors the spirit of the historic Black community. Lots of work on new safety measures has happened since the incident, in which 5 people were injured. Gareth Hampshire has that story.
Organizers of the Africville family reunion are implementing a series of new safety measures at the event this year. They're being put in place following an evaluation of the park after a nighttime shooting last year. That led to the cancellation of remaining events, but Paula Grant-Smith, who grew up in the community, decided not to leave. And she's back.
I am not going to allow some young punks come in there and destroy what I feel.
She's never missed a reunion which brings former residents and descendants back together. Running for more than 40 years, it's a weekend where they celebrate the spirit of Africville that lives on long after the city demolished the community. What happened last year has had a lasting impact on some of the younger members of her family.
My niece and nephew, who for the first time were so excited to stay out overnight and to have that gunfire. They were traumatized then, and they're traumatized now.
Everyone staying in the park this year will be registered and provided with a pass. There will be additional security as well as a police presence with officers at the event and patrolling the surrounding area. Portable lighting is also being installed throughout the park.
So we want people not only to be safe, but we need them to feel safe so that they return back out here and join with us.
He's confident the attendance will not be affected because of the work the Genealogy Society has been doing, including involving the people of Africville.
People were nervous about coming here, but because we continued to communicate with folks on what was being done and what we were doing, I'm quite confident that our numbers will stay the same as last year.
The police safety audit also called for better sightlines from the road by cutting back shrubbery around the perimeter of the park. That's work the city has been doing as part of regular maintenance. Grant Smith supports the improvements, but always intended to return anyway.
And I am not going to be afraid to go to Africville.
The reunion's events run from Friday through Sunday. Gareth Hampshire, CBC News, Halifax.
Police have not made any arrests in the shooting and have said they believe people have information that could help their investigation. In April, the Nova Scotia government added the case to the Major Unsolved Crimes program, offering up to $150,000 to try and find those responsible. And Jay Scotland joins us now for a look at the weather. So pretty blustery, but still quite sunny today.
Yeah, and the wind is not a bad thing all the time. It keeps the bugs down, keeps the humidex down, because it's like putting a fan on. If you increase the amount of wind moving over you, it's called the mixing ratio. It actually lowers the humidex a bit, although it wasn't overly muggy by any stretch today. Temperatures, though, with that wind from the southwest were, and blustery but warm wind direction, were up there for inland areas. You saw 24, 25 today, not bad for Halifax. If you're immediately downwind of the water, 16 degrees in Western Head. Now, we will be looking at even warmer and some soupier, muggier conditions building in for your Friday. Just a few clouds through the overnight hours tonight. Mainly sunny for the HRM tomorrow, but as you head up towards the hub into Truro, as we head up into more northern areas, this is where you could be looking at by late afternoon, not just risk of showers, even some thunderstorms. And 26 will likely feel over 30 in Halifax, but some areas will be over 30, feeling closer to 38, 39 with the humidex tomorrow. And as for that shower chance for Halifax, likely into the late evening and a very slight chance it could come with a rumble of thunder as well.
Okay.
Amy?
We'll be ready. Thanks for that, Jay.
Yeah.
Northern Pulp is going out of business, but the province is still counting on the company to close and clean up its old mill in Pictou County. In a settlement agreement reached last year, Northern Pulp agreed to pay up to $15 million towards reclamation of the Abercrombie site. But first, the company will have to pay off a number of other creditors. It's not even clear if $15 million would cover the whole cleanup. Environment Minister Tim Holman says his department is waiting on the company to submit a plan. He says there's no deadline.
The next step is a reclamation approval or a reclamation plan that's outlined in the Environment Act. And certainly, we'll have more to say about that Abercrombie site, when there's updates. The company needs to put forward a reclamation plan. And then once that happens, my department analyzes that.
Opposition MLAs say the province should be setting clear timelines and finding a mechanism to keep the company on the hook so that taxpayers don't have to foot the bill. Nova Scotia's Electoral Boundaries Commission is being told to create a protected Acadian riding for Cheticamp. The commission held public hearings this week throughout Inverness County. More than 60 people attended a meeting in Cheticamp on Wednesday. Jules Chasson, the director of the Provincial Acadian Federation, says Cheticamp used to have its own hospital and several banks, service stations, and fish plants. He says being part of the larger riding of Inverness has hurt the community.
The last century, land expropriation at the hands of the federal government. Cheticamp faces threats to its survival through assimilation.
The commission's final report is expected by the end of January. 40 provincial parks are slated for upgrades worth $12.8 million. Dollar Lake Provincial Park is one of those parks. It's in the third year of a multi-year redevelopment. The Department of Natural Resources is investing $1.6 million in upgrading 38 campsites with water and electrical services, adding an accessible campsite and building new washrooms. Improvements to other parks include paved roads, natural playgrounds, beach access, and water and septic upgrades. Some kids in Cape Breton are playing soccer with a twist. They're passing, dribbling, and shooting, but as Anna Rack tells us, they're speaking in Gaelic in an effort to learn the language.
This is a little different than your typical soccer camp. When these young players call for a pass, they do it in Gaelic.
I think it's very cool because not a lot of people speak Gaelic, so I think it's very special and fun to speak it with other people.
Like, it's cool how you can teach it, learn it, all the numbers and stuff are really cool. It's cool that you can learn it. It's a super easy language to learn. I've been learning this for half a year and it's starting to come to me quicker than I thought it would.
The goal of the camp is to use sport to keep Gaelic language, culture, and heritage alive, all outside of the typical educational classroom setting. It's called Play Gaelic. The coaches are all fluent Gaelic speakers who traveled from Scotland to take part.
If I was to say to you, Brep and Ball, you would say, Callum, I don't know what you mean. But if I kicked a ball across the room, you'd go, oh, I think he means kick the ball. So it's that real learning dynamic where it's fun, it's interactive, and it is play, hence why it's called Play Gaelic.
While some of the kids are fluent in the language, others do not know any Gaelic at all. Coaches teach them key words to play, like pass and goal. About 40 kids with varying fluency levels came out to play.
I know some of my friends are here that are actually not even in Gaelic, but they still came here because they love soccer so much.
The camp is a collaboration between the Office of Gaelic Affairs, the Halifax Wanderers, the Alba Football Alliance, and Fèis Vabu. It's a committee dedicated to keeping Gaelic alive in Mabu.
We're trying to reclaim our language and also give opportunity for anyone, whether they're from this heritage language or not or connected to it, to access it. And so I've been part of that for a long time and really believe that we just have to keep on making moments that we can reclaim and speak the language.
This is the first year of the program, but Campbell says she hopes to see it become an annual thing. Anna Rack, CBC News, Mabu.
Flag flying in the breeze, that's in Ketch Harbor. Jay is up next with the full weather forecast. Please stay with us. We're back in a few minutes.
This weather update is brought to you by Access Wellness Nova Scotia. Book your appointment today for free, confidential mental wellness support.
All right, Jay is back to talk weather, and Friday is almost here. Sounds like the hot and humid weather is coming with it.
Yeah, building in for Friday, and it really, if you're near the water, even Halifax, it's not so bad in Halifax, but if you head up to Truro, for example, or even up towards the Northumberland Strait. This is where New Glasgow, for example, those temperatures with that wind coming from the southwest are going to be hot. And the humidex value mid to high 30s, certainly not out of the question. We have an approaching front, so as we get into the late afternoon, into the evening hours, the earlier it arrives, the better chance for thunderstorms. So I think it's a lower chance for Halifax, more southern areas, but you'll want to into the afternoon for more northern parts of the province, and then into the evening and late evening for more southern areas. You'll want to keep an ear to the sky as the wet weather that arrives late in the day could come with some thunderstorms and some locally heavy downpours as well. There's a look at our temperatures today across the province. Now, if you were immediately downwind of the water, so back Row Point, you saw that high of just 16 degrees. Lunenburg was below 20 today as well. But most areas we're up into the mid to high 20s as you moved away from the water with that warm and, very blustery southwesterly wind that will continue to be blustery today, even on the breezier side tomorrow as well. But it's going to continue to usher in not even just the warm temperatures, but also some more humidity, and that will continue into tomorrow. So some muggy conditions, and we do have that approaching system that will bring the late day rain. So we'll track out the timing of that for you now. You can see to our north, seeing some showers into parts of New Brunswick, PEI, Cape Breton. You will be looking at, and even as we look to towards New Glasgow area, for example, eastern Northumberland, I will see a chance of showers for you through the evening and overnight hours tonight. More southern areas, though, likely to stay fairly clear. And with that brisk wind, it should help to mitigate the risk of any real widespread fog tonight as well. So pretty quiet conditions for most of the province. You will see that shower chance, though, for more northern and eastern areas tonight into early tomorrow morning. Otherwise, mainly sunny start, aside from maybe some patchy fog in the morning. The wind will be brisk, though, so I'm not expecting that to be too big of a factor. And then as we move through the afternoon, you can see those clouds increasing for northern areas. It's not until we get towards supper time that they'll be increasing to a mainly cloudy sky for folks into Halifax and further south. But you can see those showers building in there. They could be coming with a risk of some thunder showers, some locally heavy downpours as well. So late afternoon for northern areas, and then into the evening and even overnight hours, the further south and east you are, you will have that risk of some thunderstorms building in late in the day. Now, it's not going to put a damper on your weekend. We will move into Saturday with a mainly sunny start to the day. The wind from the north will be cool, and it will be a bit blustery, so do keep that in mind. Temperatures will be a little bit on the cooler side for Saturday, but loads of sunshine across the province all day. Should be a very nice one. High UV index and a relatively high north wind for the first half of the day, but not too bad with that ridge of high pressure in place. And then Sunday's also looking fairly sunny, and it will be a bit warmer as well. So good opportunities to get out to a beach, get out to a park, and have some fun outdoors for your Saturday and Sunday. Temperature-wise tonight, not too bad. Not too bad considering how warm it was today. Just a few clouds that should be clearing shortly after midnight, although as we look up to a more northern and eastern areas, there is that shower chance that will persist not just this evening, but past midnight for eastern areas into Cape Breton, even into the early morning hours tomorrow. And then we'll watch for that front to start bearing in and that system to start bearing in. It's really just a boundary of the warm air and the cold air. And along that boundary, you could see Truro up to New Glasgow, just the further Amherst, further north you are, you have that chance by mid to late afternoon of the clouds increasing, the showers, the thunderstorms not far behind. We'll see a mainly sunny sky for most areas further south. And inland areas, man oh man, temperatures will be anywhere from 28 to 32, feeling 35 to 38, 39 for some areas with the humidex possible. 26 will likely feel around 32, 33, so not as bad if you're closer to the water, like in Halifax. And that wind is coming in from the southwest. So it's late day rain. There is a chance for some thunderstorms for those warmer spots where the rain arrives earlier in the day. We'll still be a little on the windy side tomorrow, certainly as well. And then sunny skies, temperatures not bad as we look to your Saturday, just a little bit cooler, a lot less humid. More northern areas could be curbed into the low 20s, and then we'll see that 25 feeling around 30 on Sunday. So it does feel warmer. Might be a better beach day Sunday than Saturday. And then into next week, not a bad start. Could see some wet weather Wednesday, but I think we'll need it after a very sunny and dry stretch of weather through the middle of next week.
Yeah, I think we will too. All right, thanks, Jake. We're back after this. Nova Scotia Health says there are now 30 total cases of measles in the northern zone. 8 cases are lab confirmed, and the rest are considered confirmed based on their household exposure and symptoms. Dr. Ryan Summers is Senior Regional Medical Officer of Health and Senior Medical Director, Public Health. So first off, what do we know about these cases in the northern zone?
Thanks for having me. So what we're seeing right now is an expected response from our first public service announcement from a few weeks ago. Measles is a highly contagious virus, and it takes about 10 to 14 days, as short as 7 days or long as 21 days, for secondary cases to arise. And so what we're seeing now is the rise of these secondary cases. Fortunately, we have not seen any new public exposures like listed 2 weeks ago at the local emergency rooms. And most of these cases have been isolated to large households in small communities.
So for the general public, should there be much concern?
No, right now the risk to the general public is still considered low. Nova Scotians have done an amazing job coming out and making sure their vaccines are updated by going through their primary care provider, local pharmacists, or public health. We know that most people who were born before 1970 likely were exposed to measles at some point and have natural immunity. But right now we're seeing a good uptake and interest in the vaccines, and again, not seeing any further public exposures is reassuring as well.
Now, Public Health says to expect the number of cases to increase in the coming weeks. What could we be looking at that point?
Well, hopefully we'll have a relatively small increase. Again, we're seeing a lot of individuals who have had no vaccines or not the recommended number of vaccines getting sick. And so it usually takes about 10 to 14 days for someone to actually incubate or have the virus bake until it actually presents with signs and symptoms of the disease. So with every new case, we'll see new exposures, and so there could be the potential of seeing additional cases. Fortunately, the community that we've been working with has been very good at listening to our recommendations. They are staying home if they're sick, limiting large public exposures. And so it's making a difference in preventing any further spread outside of the communities.
Now, according to the Canadian press, about 23% of children in Nova Scotia weren't vaccinated for measles in 2024. Why do you think that is?
So I think there's a couple of reasons why we've seen lower vaccination rates. So one of the biggest has been the pandemic. And so the pandemic was there in place to prevent the spread of COVID, but also disrupted our health systems. So we knew that many individuals were they were off their vaccine schedules, and so individuals missed out on that opportunity as well. Unfortunately, look at the statistics, and we've dived a little deeper into them. We've seen that our numbers are a bit better than what that report has shown. That's indicating people have had 2 full vaccines, and we're finding that over 90% of people have had at least 1 vaccine, which is about 94% effective. We've also seen a lot of information out there online, which people are asking really tough questions of their healthcare providers and understand, are vaccines safe? And so it's really requiring our healthcare providers to have more in-depth, focused conversations with individuals to explain the value of vaccines. But also what we're seeing is what's fueling some of this is the increased global activity of vaccines as well. So as more people travel, we're seeing more people getting sick.
As a health professional, how frustrating is it to see a preventable disease like the measles make a comeback?
Yeah, it's definitely challenging public health with our everyday work. We've gone several decades now of not having regular measles outbreaks in Canada. We have to really understand that our population is getting more educated around vaccines. There's a lot of misleading information there as well. And so I think it really challenges us in public health and those who are healthcare providers who provide vaccines to really have in-depth conversation, understand people's concerns, fears, or worries around vaccines and try to meet and address those concerns. So it just really means that we have to take different approaches when we're trying to talk to people about the value of immunizations.
As a reminder, what are the symptoms and risks from contracting measles?
Yeah, so measles is a highly contagious, serious illness. So usually it starts off with symptoms that look like a common cold. People will have a fever, runny nose, watery eyes. Sometimes they'll get little spots in their mouths called complex spots. About 3 to 7 days after that, they'll develop a rash. It usually starts on the face and then goes down to the rest of the body. It's usually red and blotchy. And then the biggest thing that happen afterwards is that people can have complications. So whether it's like ear infections, throat infections, the biggest concern are respiratory infections. The biggest group we're also worried about are those who are really young. So young children under 5 are at risk of further complications, whether that's going to the hospital or being admitted to the hospital. Those who are pregnant people, they're at more risk of getting the infection. And then people who have weakened immune systems as well.
All right, well, Dr. Summers, thank you very much for your time today. We appreciate it.
Great, thank you for having me.
Coming up, all 5 former World Junior hockey players accused of sexual assault have been found not guilty. And at least 12 people are dead after Thailand and Cambodia exchange fire amid rising tensions over an age-old border dispute. Welcome back. An Ontario judge has acquitted 5 former World Junior hockey players in a high-profile sexual assault case. She determined that the complainants' allegations against the men lacked credibility. Ali Chiasson has more on the verdict and reactions to it.
It is a landmark ruling in what was already such a high-profile case, given the accusations and the former NHLers who were accused here. Today, there's both relief and outrage. This morning, EM supporters shouted down the accused for one last time as each walked into court to learn their fate. They had supporters too. Not guilty! That was ultimately Justice Maria Caracia's decision, and it was clear from the outset, early in her ruling, reading, quote, "I conclude that the Crown cannot meet its onus on any of the counts before me." Outside court, defense attorneys spoke to the media.
Justice Caracia rejected EM's claims of fear and her claims of non-consent. That should be the takeaway from today's judgment.
Their clients left out of a separate exit. The Crown, meantime,
we will carefully review Justice Caracia's decision. And as this case is still within the appeal period, we have no further comments to make about the decision at this time. Thank you very much for your time.
The Crown attorneys didn't comment whether they would be appealing the judge's decision. We did hear from the woman at the center of all this through her lawyer.
I expect many people understand that when a person summons the courage to disclose their story, the worst possible outcome is to feel disbelieved. It's a gutting experience that no one deserves. That's why today's verdict is so devastating.
What happens next? Those hockey players leave and move on with their lives. It's unclear whether they will be able to salvage a professional hockey playing career. As for EM, as we've only known her as, this chapter from 7 years ago is closed, and it's unclear where she goes from here. Ali Chiasson, CBC News, London, Ontario.
The U.S. Deputy Attorney General has reportedly met with Epstein accomplice Ghislaine Maxwell in Florida. Maxwell is serving 20 years behind bars for sex trafficking, and it comes as reports have emerged that Donald Trump was informed in May that he was mentioned in the Epstein files. Jagrute Dubey has the latest from Washington.
The Trump administration's handling of the so-called Epstein files is a story dominating headlines around the world. The latest development, a Wall Street Journal report saying Attorney General Pam Bondi told the president in May that his name appeared alongside other high-profile people in Justice Department documents relating to Jeffrey Epstein. The Journal notes that being mentioned in the records isn't an indication of wrongdoing. But it contradicts President Trump's previous denial that Bondi mentioned his name appearing on a list. The White House is calling this another fake news story, with the president earlier this week hoping to deflect attention away from the whole saga, accusing Barack Obama of fabricating intelligence, showing Russia tried to help Mr. Trump win the 2016 election.
This was treason. This was every word you can think of. They tried to steal the election. They tried to obfuscate the election.
But the president's own supporters have been keeping the Epstein story alive, recalling Mr. Trump's promise on the campaign trail to release more Epstein files. They were furious at the Department of Justice and the FBI for saying in July they wouldn't be releasing any more files and that there was no evidence of an Epstein client list. The DOJ has since been trying to prove its commitment to transparency, interviewing Epstein's longtime associate Ghislaine Maxwell, who's currently serving a 20-year prison sentence in Tallahassee. The issue has taken centre stage in Congress as well. The House Oversight Subcommittee voted on Wednesday to subpoena the Department of Justice for files on Jeffrey Epstein, an unexpected move pushing back against House Speaker Johnson's attempts to kick votes on the Epstein files into the long grass. Jagrati Dave for CBC News, Washington.
3 mine workers remained trapped deep inside the Red Chris mine in northern BC. Outside, effort is underway to remove about 30 meters of debris blocking access to reach them. Newmount Corp, which operates the mine, says the workers are sheltering in a safe refuge bay stocked with food and water. The three are from BC, Manitoba, and Ontario. They were reportedly about 600 meters deep in the tunnel when a pair of rock falls trapped them on Tuesday. The mine has multiple self-contained refuge bays. Each contain enough supplies to support 16 people for at least 3 days. Prime Minister Mark Carney is in Canada's Arctic to meet with Inuit leaders and discuss the One Canadian Economy Act, also known simply as Bill C-5. It allows Ottawa to designate certain projects as being in the national interest and bypass some regulations to fast-track projects. David Thurton has more.
This is the first time that Prime Minister Mark Carney and Inuit leaders are holding high-level political discussions. On the agenda, Arctic sovereignty, defense, healthcare. Mark Carney also announced Canada's first Arctic ambassador. But much of this meeting will focus on the government's new legislation to fast-track major projects, to build big things and to build them fast. The new law would provide upfront approvals before the Crown completes its duty to consult with Indigenous peoples. The Prime Minister addressed concerns around that.
To be absolutely clear, C-5 fully respects modern treaty, all treaty rights, modern treaty rights, and environmental assessment consistent with those treaty rights is one of the things we'll discuss directly.
At the start of the meeting, not everyone was satisfied with those assurances. Inuit wanted clarification on what that really means. Before the meeting was over, they seemed to have received that.
He was unequivocal in stating that this legislation will not interrupt the processes that have been set up under our modern treaties when it comes to environmental assessment, when it comes to project reviews.
Inuit leaders say the North has massive infrastructure gaps. It needs nation-building developments such as deep water ports, transmission lines, and high-speed internet. But they want it on their terms. David Thurton, CBC News, Inuvik.
At least 12 people are dead following clashes between Thai and Cambodian soldiers along their shared border. Thousands of others have been forced to flee. This comes after a sharp escalation in tensions over a border dispute erupted weeks ago. Patrick Falk has the latest from Singapore.
Well, this really is a sharp escalation in an ongoing dispute between Thailand and Cambodia. It's not clear today which side fired shots first. Both sides blame one another, but as far as we understand, an exchange of fire first took place near the Ta Muan Tom temple in Surin province around the border area. That's now turned into something much bigger, with fighting taking place across 6 different zones around the border area. Thailand earlier also said that it launched airstrikes against Cambodian military targets in a show of strength. And people around the area are really rattled by the situation. There have been border disputes between the two countries for more than a century. This latest crisis was triggered by the killing of a Cambodian soldier at an undemarcated point in May. But the situation has taken a much more violent turn than many people had suspected might happen, and fears now are that they could deepen much further. And making matters worse, also on Wednesday, Thailand downgraded diplomatic relations with Cambodia and also expelled Cambodia's ambassador in protest against a landmine blast which wounded 5 Thai soldiers. Cambodia, in a tit-for-tat move, also expelled the Thai ambassador and has recalled all of its embassy staff. So finding a diplomatic solution to this situation has become all the more difficult as well. Patrick Falk for CBC News, Singapore.
Wrestling superstar Hulk Hogan has died. World Wrestling Entertainment announced his passing on Thursday, indicating he had suffered cardiac arrest that morning. Hogan helped turn wrestling into a global phenomenon in the 1980s. Hogan, whose real name was Terry Bollea, was a WWE champion 6 times. His name was synonymous with the annual WWE extravaganza, WrestleMania. His popularity transcended sport in the 1990s when he appeared in several movies. Hogan was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame in 2005, but was removed 10 years later for using a racial slur. He was reinstated in 2018. In recent years, he was a vocal supporter of Donald Trump. Hulk Hogan was 71. He was survived by his wife and 2 children. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre says he wants Canada's election laws changed to prevent long ballot protests. He's facing nearly 200 challengers in the Alberta by-election on August 18th. Poilievre needs to win the riding to regain a seat in Parliament. Rafi Boudjikanian has that story.
Pierre Poilievre now running for a seat in Alberta, but facing déjà vu in the form of an extremely packed ballot.
I've never seen anything like that.
Much like the federal election where he lost his Ottawa seat, a non-partisan group called the Longest Ballot Committee is signing up candidates in his new riding. It's calling for electoral reform, in this case by getting nearly 200 people to run.
This is a scam, it is unfair, it is unjust, and it must stop.
These aren't real candidates, Poilievre wrote in a letter to federal government House leader Stephen McKinnon. This is a coordinated scheme to weaponize the ballot. He's asking for changes to electoral law, including a candidate needing signatures from 0.5% of the population in any given riding instead of the current 100 people.
Coming from a candidate that has never stepped foot in Battle River Crowfoot before these elections, that is very ironic.
The Longest Ballot Committee says this is not about Poilievre, it's about Canada's electoral system.
In our current first-past-the-post system, politicians game the system. They're the ones who decide the way our elections are run. And obviously there's a conflict of interest, since they are the ones who directly benefit from our current system.
This candidate is also in favor of the committee's existence. He has mobility issues and says the group helped him get the endorsements he needed, adding Poilievre's proposal would shut him out.
He better get his running shoes on, because I will be pushing that if he wants that kind of change, then he better do it himself.
But another independent candidate says protests like these can be detrimental.
There is absolutely no way on the ballot to differentiate me from all these protest candidates from outside our riding who are causing issues.
The government says it also shares Poilievre's concerns and is examining the issue. For now, Elections Canada says it's looking for ways to make sure this by-election goes smoothly, and will have more to say in a few days. Rafi Boudjikanian, CBC News, Ottawa.
A blind baby moose from the Ottawa area is in need of a new home. He was found alone and injured and was taken to an animal sanctuary. But as Issel Musa reports, he can't stay there.
You want some food? This little moose is named Cedar. Cedar loves to eat and to keep his caregivers on their toes. He was brought to this wildlife sanctuary in early July.
He was walking through a field calling out, probably calling out, trying to find his mother, and yeah, she was nowhere to be seen.
Unlike other animals that get treated here and returned to nature, Cedar is blind and needs to be kept in captivity for his own protection. But he can't stay here.
I will not be able to keep him when he grows much bigger. It costs a lot to feed him, and I want him to not feel too confined.
Cedar could get up to 2 meters tall and weigh up to 1,600 pounds, which is why Lynn Rowe is hoping he'll be moved here, to this empty moose enclosure at the Toronto Zoo.
We potentially could present an amazing forever home for Cedar if that's what's deemed the appropriate next step for him. And moose, an iconic Canadian species, capture people's imagination.
But first, says Dolph DeYoung, the Ontario government will need to decide whether the zoo would be an appropriate home. The Ministry of Natural Resources did not respond to CBC's request for information about Cedar's future.
I think it could be a really good match, but it is always up to the Ministry of Natural Resources to make that final decision whether this is a suitable outcome. I hope he has a lovely large enclosure and that he can provide people with joy.
Otherwise, Lynn Rowe worries Cedar will have to be put down. Idil Musa, CBC News, Toronto.
Losses in basic materials and non-essential goods helped drive Canada's main stock index to finish lower on Thursday, while U.S. markets were mixed. Here's a look at the numbers as we go to break.
I'm Angela McIver, a reporter here at CBC Nova Scotia. My focus is on consumer stories, so basically anything that involves your money. Think you've been scammed or have information about a potential fraud? Get in touch and I will dig into it. I'm here to investigate.
This weather update is brought to you by Access Wellness Nova Scotia. Book your appointment today for free, confidential mental wellness support.
All right, for one last look at the weather, here's Jay. So it sounds like a pretty quiet night tonight, but Friday might be a different story for some parts of the province.
Yeah, as we get into Friday, late afternoon, into the evening hours, certainly if it's arriving earlier from more northern areas, the wet weather could come with some locally heavy downpours. That risk of thunderstorms is there. I think by the time the rain makes its way south to towards Halifax, that risk will greatly diminish. Still there, but much later in the day, actually into the late evening, that rain could hold off. So mostly falling while folks are sleeping Friday night into Saturday. For Halifax, up to Truro, those areas could be a little bit different story late in the day tomorrow. Not as quiet as tonight. Now, we do have that shower chance persisting. Very slight scattered shower chance as we look to more northern and eastern areas. So we'll keep that in tomorrow morning as well towards Cape Breton. The boundary itself between the warm and the cool air, that front is sinking south, and we can see there's some thunderstorms as we look to late afternoon, early evening into southeastern New Brunswick, into parts of PEI. You can see it just creeping in to more northern parts of mainland Nova Scotia, down towards Truro. I'd say likely before supper for you, and then likely holding off until much later into the evening hours. This is 10 o'clock on one forecast model here. You can see that digging further south much later in the day. So less of a thunderstorm chance than what we'll see for more northern and eastern areas. So do keep an ear to the sky just with that muggy air in place. Now we'll start out mainly sunny tomorrow. That wind from the southwest will still be brisk. Gusts near 40 possible through the morning and early afternoon. By late afternoon, though, we can see that wind picking up again from the southwest. Ahead of that boundary approaching, clouds will be increasing as well. And I think by 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, if you're up in Truro, this is where you have that thunderstorm chance. Halifax, probably not until 9, 10, even 11 o'clock at night before the first of those raindrops arrive. And 26 doesn't reflect the whole province. That'll be the Halifax daytime high temperature, maybe 26, 27, feeling over 30. But you head inland and you'll be looking at actual temperatures over 30 and humidex values into the mid to high 30s. So not just sunscreen tomorrow, not just sky wear late in the day, but make sure you're staying well hydrated and take lots of breaks in the shade if you're working outdoors.
Yeah, very good advice. All right, thank you, Jay. One young boy from PEI is making the most of his summer vacation. Finnegan Chandler launched a jam business a few years ago, and now he's working hard just to keep up with demand. Connor Lamont reports.
This 8-year-old says business is booming. Finnegan Chandler's homemade strawberry jam has been flying off the shelves. It's hard work, but he's having a blast.
It's going good. I've sold... Well, my goal is to sell 300 bottles, and I've already sold 350. I'm selling a lot more bottles, and this year is my best year that I've sold jam.
Finnegan has been selling his jam all around the island, from baseball diamonds to concerts, and he has a stand at the bottom of his driveway. Finnegan picks the berries himself, removes the stems, and adds all the ingredients. He's even made a profit.
Doing this because I want to donate to kids' sport and buy toys, get money, and save for my education.
Finnegan learned about running a business through a program at Innovation PEI, and he received a little bit of money to help get his business off the ground. His family also lends a hand, especially when it's time to put the strawberries on the stove.
5 subscribers.
I'm really proud. It's he's quite a little go-getter, quite amazing little guy, and our whole family is proud of him. And regardless of anything that he's doing, we're always here for him, trying to support him, and love watching him succeed.
Finnegan plans to start making raspberry and blueberry jam. He wants to sell it at more busy spots around PEI with the hope of selling lots and lots of jam. Connor Lamont, CBC News, Emerald.
Great work, Finnegan. That is it for us tonight. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.